everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a probably shorter video. This is palettes I bought way after launch. I was going through and looking at them, and I picked up a few new ones, and there's a lot of palettes. I don't tend to buy a lot on launch. I think I did in October, but that was rare for me. Usually I will wait a long time before I buy the bullet makeup palettes, especially because I buy pricier palettes, a little bit more midpoint, like not the most expensive, but definitely more midpoint palettes. So if you want to see what some of my palettes are, then just keep on watching. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's all I have. Let's jump into the video. And let me start off with the shirt of the day. I forgot to mention this in my last video. This is one of my Motley Crue band shirts. This is from their 85 tour. My grandpa used to do the lighting at the arena in Billings, Montana. And so I have a bunch of vintage band shirts because every show he worked on, he got a shirt. So this is an authentic 1985 Motley Crue shirt. I was wearing it in my last video. I did a review on a new palette, so if you want to see how I got this eye look, that video should be up before this one. But anyway, I forgot to mention my shirt. I have people that are always interested in what shirts I'm wearing, so we went with a band tee this time instead of a horror shirt, and I will probably be wearing it in one more video because I'm lazy and I don't feel like changing my clothes. So anyways, let's jump into the palettes. So the palette that really sparked this video for me was the ABH Modern Renaissance. This palette had been out for over a year when I bought it. I was very, very late to buying this. I think I did do a video on this, like maybe late to the party. It was a series I was trying to do when I first started my channel years ago, and I never continued it, but I got this way, way late. I still have it. I've almost decluttered it because I don't use it much, but I honestly don't use any of my ABH palettes much anymore. I need to. I have, the only one that's I'm like really missing is the Sultry palette, but I have a dupe for it, so I'm not really missing any, but I just don't use these as much. This for me is more of a fall palette, so if I do break it out, it's usually around that time just because of the berries and the oranges that are in here, but it is a good palette. So if you have never picked it up and you like neutrals, there is some color in here, but it's more on the neutral side. So this very user-friendly palette, really good formula. It's still a good one. And then another one that I have in my collection that I got way, way late, because this palette had been out forever. Like, this is the newer packaging. This isn't even the thicker packaging. Mike got this for me, I think our first Christmas together. He had this in my stocking. I had been wanting it for a while. This, I think I already had the peach palette and the Bonbon palette, and I wanted this one, so he was nice enough to pick it up for me. Mine's probably getting on to 3 or 4 years old, but it still works. It's still good. I did have a brand new one that I got in a mystery, like Too Faced bundle that I gave away just because there's nothing wrong with my palette, so I couldn't see getting rid of this one and keeping the new one because there's nothing wrong with mine. Mine hasn't turned. It still performs well, and I do use it from time to time. This palette's still available. It's a nice neutral palette. So if you're someone that doesn't do a lot of color, doesn't do like heavy makeup, this is a nice, easy, everyday palette. It's easy to use. It blends out well. It's just nice. Like, the shimmers aren't anything like crazy metallic, but they're nice. And you can always put a little like glitter or something over on top if you want more. Like, wow, like a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop would be like good companion with that, but it's still a good palette. Another one that I've gotten way late, and I'm not going to go through all of my palettes because I don't buy much on launch. I generally wait a while and then we'll get palettes. So I would say 3/4 of the palettes in my collection were not purchased on launch. They were purchased way after the fact. These are just main ones that kind of sparked this. The Jaclyn Hill palette, I did not get this when it first came out. Again, I think I got mine either right before or right after the Vault palettes came out, and I think I have the original formula. I don't think they had changed this one yet. I think I got it right before, because it's in the older packaging. I think when they changed the packaging on this is when the formula changed. They've never really come out and said exactly when they changed the formula. They have said that the formula was changed and it's no longer vegan, but I think I have one before it was changed, just because I just by chance caught one before that. But I got it mainly to compare to the Vault palettes. And I had those for a long time. I didn't mind them. They weren't the best, like $15 palettes that you could get, but there are a couple of them that I miss. I miss the green one and the more orangey one, and I have thought about repurchasing them, which is silly because I don't need them, but I do still have this one. This one survived some declutters. I have thought about getting rid of this, but I do find that I use this a lot for like easy glam tutorials because it's an affordable palette. It's still available even though it's not quite the same palette. A lot of people have this one, and so it makes a good like tutorial palette for me, so that's why it's hung around. And then I have a couple of Jeffree Star palettes. My newest one, I did get the cremated palette. Beauty Bay was having a sale, and this was 20% off. It's not the cheapest I've ever seen it because his website will do 30% off on this sometimes, but I was able to get free shipping because I got another little palette. I got the Book of Magic palette. It was on sale for $9, and I was actually sad because like a week later it went down to $7.50, which is even cheaper. But I got the Book of Magic, and then with this I was able to get free shipping. I like getting free shipping, so don't come after me because I have talked about wanting this palette. So I did pick this up, but again, this has been out for a while. Obviously didn't get it on launch. I don't have a ton of cool tones. I like wearing cool tones, and I think because I got rid of my Bon Bon palette, I don't have a ton of like true cool tone palettes. So I think this is a nice companion, even though like I know people have their problems with him. I never thought that he was a terrific person. I've never had that stance on my channel. I've always put out that, you know, he's done questionable things, but his makeup is good. So I try to get stuff on sale or through Poshmark if I'm going to buy his stuff, but I still like the quality. So I feel like if you had Jawbreaker, that palette, and then the Orgy palette, you probably wouldn't need any other eyeshadow palettes. Like if you had all of his palettes, you could probably get rid of everything else because you would have basically everything that you would need. Not that anybody needs to do that, but I was just thinking about that because then you'll have cool tones and neutrals. And anyways, the only two palettes of his that were purchased on launch, I did get Jawbreaker when it launched. I wasn't going to, and then I ended up getting it through Beauty Bay. And then my husband did buy Blood Money on launch. I obviously didn't open it till Christmas, but this was purchased on launch. So I do have this. I will be doing a video on this coming up. That's why it's sitting over here, but those are the only two. Blood Sugar was purchased on a restock like a year after it came out. I went back and forth on this palette for a year, and I remember it was in March, so it was, yeah, one of his restocks. So I think it was the first or second restock of this palette, but I did get it later on. And then Blue Blood, same thing. It was probably a year after it came out, and it was on sale on Beauty Bay, like 40% off. So I got it on sale. And then the Alien palette, I don't even know how long this had been out. It had been out a while, and I got this through Poshmark. Somebody had gotten it as a gift and didn't want it. So I paid a little bit over retail price. I think it was $70 total. I think it came out to $72 with the shipping, but so she didn't like severely price gouge it. But at the time, this was out of stock. So it was a decent, I didn't like severely overpay for it, but this was definitely purchased way after it had been released, because this to me looked like super boring. The pictures of this look super boring. This one has since been discontinued. I'm hoping he brings this one back in maybe like this kind of packaging. I think something like this pink, like he could do faux like all pink with like a UFO and some stars. That would be really cute, and I would actually repurchase it because this is my favorite palette. Like if I had to pick one, this is probably my all-time favorite palette. So I would definitely repurchase this if he re-released it with different packaging, just because I'm scared that when this runs out, it's all gone. So yeah, I am not somebody that typically buys palettes on launch. This October, I did get the Hocus Pocus palette when it launched. I did do the It's Freaking Bats palette from, oh gosh, the brand just escaped me. I did buy that palette, and then I did buy the Urban Myth from Black Moon. So that's very unusual. Again, I don't like having to sit and waiting on a website. I don't like dealing with any of that. And then it gives me some time to think, because it's so easy to get caught up in like impulse buying and, oh, it's new, so I have to have it. So usually if I wait a little bit and I still want it, 6 months down the road, then I will consider getting it. And then I'm also usually able to get it on sale. I just don't like impulse buying. I try to really get away from impulse buying, so very rarely will I buy a palette when it launches. I just have really tried to get away from doing that. So yeah, those are just a few. Like I said, 3/4 of the palettes in my collection were purchased way after the fact. So I just pulled out a few like ones that I really think about when I think about this topic. So yeah, hopefully this wasn't too boring. Let me know if you're somebody that purchases things when they first come out, or if you're somebody that waits, and what are some things that you've kind of sat on and gotten after the fact because you still wanted them later. I'd be curious to know. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, and yeah, I think that's all I have. Hopefully I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye everybody.